Think small, tiny countries for a crowd-free time looking to avoid the crowds on your next vacation? Perhaps you should venture to countries with the smallest populations instead. Here crowds are rarely a problem and most are also easy on the eye. From far-flung coral atolls and splendidly sleepy archipelagos to isolated mountainous republics, we have found some crowd-free countries that are perfect for a relaxing vacation. Niue, 1,645. It might be one of the largest raised coral atolls on Earth, but this Pacific island is as petite as countries come. Home to a population of less than 1,650 people, Niue is a self-governing island state in free association with New Zealand. Cast adrift 1,491 miles northeast of the Antipodean nation, it lies in the center of a triangle of other Polynesian islands, Tonga, Samoa and the Cook Islands, and is proudly the world's smallest self-governing nation. With just one large resort and several little guest houses and apartments, Niue is just the spot for that get-away-from-it-all slice of island life. 14 villages are dotted around the standalone landmass which measures 100 square miles, of which Alofi is the capital. Its coast is varied with sections of high sea cliffs, secluded coves, caves and enticing pools. Spend days watching out for humpback whales, they arrive to nurse their young from July to October, and snorkeling in rock pools. Limu Pools is one of its best swimming spots, or over coral reefs just offshore. Or dive down into its underwater caverns, caves and chasms. Niue's waters are renowned for exceptional visibility and extraordinary marine life. Falkland Islands, 3,000. This far-flung archipelago might only be home to 3,000 humans, but around 70% of the world's population of black-browed albatross call the desolate Falkland Islands home. If you like untouched seascapes, wild weather and birds, then this collection of 700-plus islands strewn 400 miles off the southeast coast of South America is pretty perfect. You'll see more penguins waddling along its unspoiled white sand beaches than humans. Other wildlife wows come from the lumbering southern elephant seals, whales and dolphins you'll likely spot on a cruise around the archipelago's rugged coastlines. The isolated and sparsely populated British Overseas Territory has a total land area of around 4,700 square miles, roughly half of Wales in the UK, or the state of Connecticut. It has two main islands, East Falkland, home to the capital and in fact only town Stanley, and West Falkland. As well as remote walks and wildlife watching, the islands are considered one of the world's best locations for wilderness fishing. Their coastal estuaries, rivers and streams burst with big and beautiful brown and sea trout and mullet, particularly in the months of September, October, February and March. Tuvalu, 12,066. A curved chain of 3 islands and 6 coral atolls, tiny Tuvalu lies halfway between Australia and Hawaii and is home to just over 12,000 people. It sees few visitors too. While it's not got the same show-stopping beauty of some Polynesian islands, those who do venture here discover a pretty place packed with coconut palms and narrow sand beaches edged by emerald waters. Take a tour with a local guide to find out how the low-lying archipelago is trying to ensure its future with initiatives including mangrove planting projects to protect it from rising sea levels. Its marine life is another draw that islanders work hard to protect. The Funafuti Conservation Area covers 13 square miles of reef, lagoon and motu, islets, on the western side of Funafuti Atoll. Some of these idyllic islets are key nesting sites for green sea turtles and a haven for black noddies and crested terns. There are just a handful of places to stay in Tuvalu, all simple guest houses and lodges that offer an insight into the island's way of life. Anguilla, 15,232. A speck of an island in the eastern Caribbean, Anguilla is only 16 miles long and 3 miles wide, yet it never feels overcrowded. Possibly because only 15,242 people live here, and there are 33 beaches to share with tourists. While it's got tropical beauty and Caribbean charm by the bucketful, Anguilla is far removed from the region's busiest destinations even during peak time, partly because its accommodation offering is more upscale and boutique than large all-inclusive resorts. Those who do seek out this petite paradise, which is a British Overseas Territory, come for its bounteous, uncrowded beaches, revered as the best in the Caribbean by many, and relaxed vibe. This is a place to spend days snoozing under trees, snorkeling or diving into clear waters. There are numerous limestone caves, sea arches, shipwrecks, and coral reefs to explore. Up the ante by sailing around Anguilla's 6 offshore isles, dropping anchor at Scrub Island, Sombrero, Dog Island, Sandy Island, Prickly Pear, and Anguilita for a solitary swim. Cook Islands, 17,592. Sprinkled in the Pacific Ocean halfway between Hawaii and New Zealand, the 15 tiny Cook Islands are as stereotypically perfect as Paradise Islands come. White sand beaches, turquoise lagoons fringed by coral reefs, and lush, green mountains. They're blissfully undeveloped too, with their tourist board proudly stating there are no buildings taller than a coconut tree. Rarotonga is the largest of the Cook Islands, home to around 11,000 of the population who live in slow-paced villages where local markets, selling island-grown fruits and church services, liven things up at the weekend. Proud of their ancient Polynesian heritage, most islanders today are devoutly Christian, with their pretty churches packed to the rafters on Sundays. Visitors are warmly welcomed. Arutanga, the main town on the island of Aitutaki, has the oldest church of all, a limestone coral rock structure built in 1823. Famous for its huge turquoise lagoon, peppered with 15 motu, this island is even more secluded and home to just 1,800 people. To escape the crowds altogether, head off on a tour of the northern atolls such as Puka Puka, which has its own language and distinct culture. The Virgin Islands, 27,800 officially the Virgin Islands, but mostly known as the British Virgin Islands or BVIs. This cluster of Caribbean isles are a British overseas territory. Tortola, Virgin Gorda, Anegada, and Jost Van Dyke are the main ones, with Tortola home to around 23,000 of the 27,800-strong population. Then around 50 other smaller islands and cays lie scattered within this swathe of Caribbean Sea, only 15 of which are inhabited. Although the BVIs are firmly on the cruise ship circuit, there are relatively few large hotels, so peace and tranquility are guaranteed. Slip into the slow-paced island rhythm on one of the BVI's bountiful beaches, you're spoiled for choice with a string of picture-perfect palm-backed stretches of sand ringed with reef. White Bay on Jost Van Dyke and Prickly Pear Island are just two gems. Better still, sail away. This is prime sailing territory to seek out an isolated spot for a snorkel or snooze. You won't want to miss the island's famous natural wonder though, the baths on Virgin Gorda. A series of tiny white sand coves and little rock pools created by volcanic boulders. They're spectacular and can get busy at times. San Marino, 34,056 blink, and you'll miss this titchy republic that reigns on the side of a mountain. Completely surrounded by Italy, San Marino is one of the world's oldest republics, and the last one standing of the many that once made up the country. It's also one of the world's smallest countries at 23 square miles, and home to just 34,056 people. Its appeal goes beyond its novelty factor though. Perched on Mount Titano, its medieval-era capital Città is an awe-inspiring place with its twisting, cobbled streets and stone fortresses. Right at the top loom the three towers, ancient fortifications that command equally awesome views across the Apennines and towards the Adriatic. Delightfully, its official name is the Most Serene Republic of San Marino, and the micro-country has some serene spots away from its bustling but car-free old town. There are 9 smaller towns, known collectively as Castelli, to explore and some lovely trails between them. Borgo Maggiore at the foot of the mountain is the start of the Costa del Arnella path that winds up to the city gates. This ancient route was once the only way up to the fortified city and has splendid views. To really escape, plunge inside the craggy mount on a caving tour to navigate the network of shafts, tunnels and chasms that lie deep beneath the ancient city. Liechtenstein, 38,321 hidden deep in the Alps, lies a fascinating landlocked realm of fairy tale castles and banks. At just 62 square miles and home to less than 39,000 people, the Principality of Liechtenstein is tiny. It's Europe's second smallest country after Vatican City. It's also one of the wealthiest nations, historically known as a tax haven. Tiny capital Vaduz is a pretty place for a potter with a handful of interesting museums, galleries and stores, and the 12th century castle looming above it from a forested hillside. While you can't visit Vaduz Castle, it's the private home of head of state Prince Hans Adam, you can go into Gutenberg Castle, another impressive ancient stronghold. But with magical mountainscapes at every turn, the real appeal of Liechtenstein lies in its peaks. It's a hiker's paradise with a 249-mile network of trails weaving around its snow-capped peaks. You can walk your way across the whole alpine country on the Liechtenstein Trail, created in 2019 to celebrate its 300th anniversary. It winds 47 miles through all 11 of the country's municipalities from border to border. St. Kitts and Nevis, 53,868. All languorous stretches of sand and lush hills peppered with candy-colored wooden houses, laid-back St. Kitts oozes tropical charm. It covers just 69 square miles, over a quarter of which is national park, which includes the emerald volcanic landscapes of Mount Liamuiga, pictured. St. Kitts is home to around 40,000 of its 53,868 population, the remainder of which live on Little Nevis just over the water, which can be reached by ferry from capital Basseterre. Dominated by pyramid-like Nevis Peak, 3,231 feet, Nevis is even more undeveloped, uncrowded and sleepier than St. Kitts. Despite covering just 36 square miles, Little Nevis manages to pack in an awful lot of beautiful places, from its often deserted sandy beaches to its vivid green forests where walks to waterfalls and historic sugar plantations await. Teeny cobbled capital Charlestown exudes charm too, with its handsome Georgian buildings painted in cheery tones. Cayman Islands, 67,108 3 specks in the Caribbean Sea. The Cayman Islands are home to a population of 67,108. The British Overseas Territory lures tourists with its beautiful beaches and world-class dive sites. Largest island Grand Cayman is where you'll find little capital Georgetown and its most famous attractions, such as Stingray City, a group of sandbars where you can snorkel with graceful giant stingrays. More wildlife can be seen in Queen Elizabeth II Botanic Park, home to the endangered Grand Cayman blue iguana. It's got some cracking beaches, including Rum Point on the north coast, and the stunning sweep of 7 Mile Beach, lined with shiny hotels and restaurants. To really escape the crowds though, head to Cayman Brac, a 30-minute flight away. The little visited wilder sister of the three is named after its steep craggy bluff and is a place to dive, explore caves and follow hiking trails around forests and bird reserves in glorious isolation. Don't miss tranquil Little Cayman either. At just 10 square miles, iguanas outnumber people here and have right-of-way. Days on the island are all about beach hopping by bike, giving way to said reptiles, and diving to take in the sights of Bloody Bay Wall. Bermuda, 61,878. This cluster of Atlantic islands, Britain's oldest overseas territory, was once feared for its notoriously dangerous waters and mythical forces thought to cause shipwrecks and downplanes. These days, Bermuda is best known for its top-notch golf resorts, florid shirts, and abundance of pink sand beaches. Home to just over 60,000 people, the archipelago of 7 main islands, interconnected by bridges, and around 170 other islets is also a top spot for a stress-free getaway. The colors of Bermuda are extraordinary. Salmon pink-hued sandy beaches, Horseshoe Bay and Jobson's Cove are beauties, teal waters and green hills peppered with pretty pastel houses. Wreck diving is one of the biggest draws, with more than 300 shipwrecks littering its coral-ringed coastline. The island is entrenched in history too. Many Bermudians descend from enslaved Africans, learn their history on the African Diaspora Heritage Trail. It takes in former capital St. George's on the northeastern tip. Founded in 1612, it's the oldest continuously settled British town in the Americas. Dominica, 72,301. If there's anywhere to escape the crowds and retreat into nature, then the Caribbean's nature island is it. Dominica is home to just over 70,000 people, but wall to wall with natural wonders. While it has some lovely beaches, the island's real appeal lies deep within its rainforest-cloaked volcanic peaks. It has thundering waterfalls, hot springs, and one of the largest active boiling lakes in the world. Boiling Lake in the Valley of Desolation. Keen adventurers can take on the Waitukubuli National Trail, a 114-mile hiking route that strikes across the island's most spectacular landscapes. The island's waters are full of natural beauty too, with many excellent snorkeling and diving sites teeming with marine life. One standout is Champagne Reef in the Soufriere Scots Head Marine Reserve, so called for the curtains of bubbles released from active volcanic fumaroles on the seabed. The country is also home to a permanent population of around 20 sperm whales who live and breed in its deep coastal waters. Head out on a whale-watching trip from a West Coast dive center and you're highly likely to meet these incredible creatures. Andorra, 76,177, measuring 180 square miles, of which only 8% is developed. You can be sure of green spaces in the Principality of Andorra, set high in the heart of the Eastern Pyrenees. The other 92% is made up of forests, lakes, rivers, waterfalls, and mountains. While it's best known as a winter destination for its ski slopes, spring and summer are a splendid time for pacing along its tranquil mountain paths, passing high flower-filled meadows, and keeping watch for ibex, golden eagles, and bearded vultures. Its three nature reserves, Valle de Sorteni, the Madrio Perafita Claror, and the Valles del Coma Pedrosa, have some glorious trails, and the cycling is pretty epic too. As well as infinite outdoor pursuits, this tiny Pyrenean principality has plenty of history and culture, from its pretty mountain villages and comparatively bustling capital, Andorra la Vella. Chief among its historic treasures are its collection of more than 40 Romanesque churches dotted around its villages and valleys, and many with exquisite mural paintings. The Catholic country has a packed calendar of age-old events too, including its unique summer solstice fire festivals, known as Las Falers, and St. Maritzell Day on the 8th of September in celebration of Andorra's patron saint. Aruba, 107,567. One of the biggest of our bunch but still blissfully underpopulated, Aruba is home to 107,567 people. First inhabited by the Caquetio Indians of the Arawak tribe who sailed here from what is now Venezuela, the island was subsequently tussled over by Spanish and Dutch explorers. It's now an autonomous country within the Kingdom of the Netherlands, after it seceded from the Netherlands Antilles in 1986. Although its main beaches and resorts can get busy in peak vacation season, there are plenty of places to escape. Discover Aruba's fascinating history at the Fort Zoutman Historical Museum, set within the oldest remaining building in Oranjestad, and admire age-old cave paintings and carvings created by the Caquetios at the Ayo Rock Formation and in the caves of Arikok National Park. This tranquil national park is packed with arresting beauty, from its secluded bays to its rugged deserts, filled with towering green cacti. Along its limestone cliffs lie some of Aruba's most incredible sights, the Guadiraquiri and Fontaine Caves, and the natural pool. If the tide is right, slip in for a swim. Grenada, 113,445. With a population of 113,445, the tri-island state of Grenada, Carriacou, and Petite Martinique is the most populous of our countries, but still one of the Caribbean's sleepiest and crowd-free corners. Its 40 white sand beaches are all that you could want from a tropical island getaway. The gorgeous sweep of Grand Anse Beach is its most famous. While its pint-sized harborfront capital, St. George's, is wonderful for a potter, don't miss the Grenada National Museum and stroll up to 18th century Fort George on the promontory for dreamy views across the pretty harbor with its bobbing fishing boats. It has rainforests filled with wildlife and laced with trails that take you deep into its mountainous interior too. The Grand Etang Forest Reserve has some of the best. It's sprinkled with tumbling waterfalls, Seven Sisters. Waterfalls is wonderful, as are the twin cascades of Mount Carmel Falls, the highest on the island. Known as the Spice Island, due to its production of nutmeg, cinnamon, cloves, and vanilla, you can discover its locally grown produce on visits to fragrant spice gardens, historic plantation houses, and local markets with stalls piled high with spice-laced goodies and tropical fruits.